Good morning. Welcome, everyone. My name is Javie. This is my wife, Jessica. On this show, we discuss topics that we all face so we could help you build your faith, develop your character, and take action towards the life you truly want to live.
Yes. Sorry we're late. Technical difficulties this morning. But hey, speaking of technical stuff, first things first, make sure you're clicking that StreamYard link, you guys, if you're in our private Facebook group. If you want to make sure that we can see your name when you comment on our live broadcast, you got to click that StreamYard link. So if you see that in the description and you're in that group, that's for you. Click that link. And we have the YouVersion Bible app link up for you. So at the very beginning, I always want to make sure you guys know about these links, because then as you're going through the broadcast with us, it's going through the show with us, you can make sure you're following along. You just jump over to that YouVersion Bible app. It'll take you directly to the study we're using for this series. And what series are we on? We are on a 10-part amazing series about finding peace during your health battles. Of course, it's finding peace during anything, but we really like to focus on health right around here. And the thing is that health is kind of the center of everything, because if you're not healthy, you feel it in everything. If you're healthy, you feel it in everything. And we don't like to think that's true, but it's true. I've talked to several people lately where they're like, I don't know if my health is connected to that. Your health is connected to everything you do, because you're the one doing it, and your health is what's driving it. Hey, good morning,
Absolutely.
CL.
Good morning, CL.
Love you too, brother. Thanks for coming on with us. One of the things that people have asked us recently, actually, speaking of questions, is what do we have in our pantry? And there's so many answers to that.
Yeah, I mean, because this person that was asking a question, they're kind of going through their pantry, and they're talking about, first we got on the topic of really the foods and what we needed to get out of our pantry so we weren't tempted. Maybe examine those labels a little further.
Yeah.
Making sure that we stay on track, because sometimes we eat things without thinking, right?
Oh, it's in my house.
Especially if it's in our house already, it's like fair game.
Yeah. It's like, well, it's right there.
But then we wonder why we're not hitting the goals, or we're not feeling well, or maybe we can feel, other symptoms coming on, and we just feel sluggish. Well, examine your pantry. But we kind of veered off to a different conversation, went a little bit deeper.
Mhm.
I didn't expect.
Yeah.
It brought up this. What labels, what are you examining on the other things in your house besides food?
Your cleaning products, your laundry.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So here's the thing is that, well, number one, before I dive into that real quick, I just wanted to say, you were saying something earlier, is that, we really should be auditing our pantry and our cupboards and like what we keep in our house. Like, I don't know, at least yearly, if not like every 6 months or something, just kind of looking at it.
Kind of like a spring cleaning, because look,
Yeah.
these things creep in, our life's busy. We purchase things. Maybe someone gives us something or whatever. We don't really think about it. Our kids, they bring things in the house, and we don't think about it. We just move on with our lives.
Well, and sometimes like we get our groceries delivered, and sometimes these people are like, oh, I'll just replace it with this thing you'll never eat. And so then I'm like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
So then I get refunded, from the company.
And it's sitting around.
It's just in there. I'm like, what do I do with this? So we have to take it out and donate it or whatever.
Sometimes we develop, as we age, we develop other allergic reactions. Sometimes we have allergic reactions or sensitivities we've had our whole life. But sometimes our body chemistry, well, not sometimes, all the time, we go into seasons of our life that our body chemistry changes.
Yeah.
And we start having reactions. So you say, for example, maybe you've used a certain laundry detergent for decades, right?
Mhm.
And lately, you seem like you're breaking out more, or you're itching more. Maybe your body's having some sort of reaction to that laundry detergent. Check your laundry detergent, see what's in there, or see what kind of chemicals are in your antiperspirant. And look, I'm not trying to get
soapboxy.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm not trying to get I think when people say this, people think, well, you're kind of going a little crunchy. You know what
Oh,
I
like
mean?
we're all natural.
Like
Yeah, but
Matthew McConaughey
well,
without
all right, all right, all
we're
right.
we're gonna get rid of
Deodorant.
all
But
deodorant.
here's the thing though, is what we normally don't even think about this stuff, actually. And what's been going on is our soapboxy. Yes, and also CL's been sending us ice cream today, apparently. um, or Bojangles. Anyway, we love you so much. This is the thing
Is
is
that
that we
possible? Wait,
normally,
hold on a
I know,
second.
could you send us Bojangles? Like get rid of air. Yeah. Yeah. Um, we've been really thinking lately that, with our daughter having like autoimmune stuff, and then we have more allergies than we used to. And then like our other daughter has like some skin bumps that are just like a skin thing she's always had. And we've been just kind of thinking like, what else could we do? We've been eating really healthy. We've been cleaning our house and da da da, like we normally do. But the thing is we had this interview on our podcast last week, and this interviewee that we had, she's incredible, but she had lupus, and she was just saying that like her story was incredible. She started to do an audit of the stuff in her house, and really realized that some of the chemicals were like completely contributing to her autoimmune. So it's just something we've been
Well,
thinking of.
well,
Look at the stuff in your house.
it really seems that God has been putting this in our path lately,
Totally.
really directing us because, look,
You're our people too, man.
God really, obviously he wants to help us.
Yeah.
And sometimes he has to like
So,
put
sometimes he's
the
like,
road
look
flares,
over there.
the road flares in front of us to show, look, the answer's right here, right in front of you in
Yeah.
regards to your ailments. We have a lot of things that we have to be concerned about, especially autoimmune disease
Yeah.
in our
Well,
family.
and the thing is, I probably would have never thought of that. It seems silly to me now. I'm like, why didn't I think that like maybe having all these chemicals in my house, cleaning products, just whatever, laundry
And
detergent.
look,
But
look, I know, and we'll get back to our topic for today, but the thing
this was a
is
thing for us yesterday, though.
I know that it seems like it could get expensive because the cheap stuff is not always good for you. Most of the time, it's not
Yeah.
good for
Well,
you,
even
right?
sometimes the expensive stuff.
And yeah, that's true. But if you, well, my whole point is some people say, well, it's expensive to do that. Yeah, but what other expenses are you paying because
Yeah.
you're
Totally.
short
Yes.
sighting yourself up front? Are you getting sick? Are you going to the doctor more? Are you, what's your quality of life like?
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
I mean, that could,
Expensive doesn't just mean money.
right.
Does
So
it cost you
we
time or
have this
pain?
conversation when it comes to talking about food.
Yeah.
Eating healthy is expensive. Yeah, but getting sick is expensive too.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen those hospital bills?
Yeah.
Try it.
Or losing time off work or all the things. Yeah,
exactly. So we
totally.
don't take that into account. We just look at the upfront cost rather than the investment that we're making for quality products
Right.
in our home.
So this is something
Anyway.
that we had to like tackle yesterday. We just got to thinking. And so we wanted to share that with you guys because it was like, because people ask us what's in your pantry. And so we were thinking, well, we think of food normally, but this is something we really been. So we're going to keep you guys updated on what happens with this.
Yeah.
But like, it's been really eye opening. So anyway, that's just something we wanted to share.
We'll share a video of us just get rid of all our
pouring out our bleach. Oh,
down
all
the
right.
drain.
So
Oh, maybe not.
maybe not this week. Again, this 10-part series, we're talking about finding peace. So actually, it's quite relevant. Is that where we find our peace is sometimes in getting rid of the things that are toxic. All right, so are you ready? Because this one's going to be toxic people. Yes, this one's going to be really good, I think, because I saw the title. Again, we don't read ahead, but this title is intriguing. It's why we lose our peace. So why do we lose our peace? Toxic people.
I was just gonna say that.
All right. You guys ready? Why we lose our peace. There's only one way to experience an abiding peace that transcends circumstances: by faith. Faith is the foundation for living in God's peace, an active, confident trust in his presence and power to sustain and comfort you, no matter the circumstances that you face. There are, however, certain issues that can undermine our faith and rob us of our peace. Let's consider a few of them. Sudden fear. Oh, yeah. Well, obviously, if you have a sudden medical issue, I mean, hello. Some people are so accustomed to responding to every little dip and rise of life with fear, with small doses of panic, that they can't even imagine that there's any way to respond. any other way to respond. They're so upset by change of all types that it never dawns on them that they can live with greater emotional stability. Oh, that is like
That's exactly what we were talking about yesterday.
that's a good word.
Yeah.
Okay, the enemy, of course, we can be attacked by our enemy, the devil, who may use various means to cause us to doubt and lose our faith in God. But we must stand up to him. Scripture urges us to resist the devil, and when we do, he will flee from us. James 4:7. Also, sin. Obviously, peace and rebellion cannot coexist. The only recourse is to confess sin to God, surrender to him, and ask for his help in turning from and resisting all temptation. Then God's peace can flow once again. And giving up peace. Oh, and this is a huge one. Can we just talk about giving up our own peace? Talk about toxic people in your life. Giving up your own peace. In times of crisis, we sometimes lay down our peace willingly. We give it up.
Yes.
We concede it. We abandon it. Always remember that no one can take our peace from us. Hello, just for the people in the back. Always remember that no one can take your peace from you. We have to surrender it. And as such, we're the only ones who can take it back. Oh, this is going to be good today. Losing focus. And this is a big one for most people. We can allow a myriad of the bad news scenarios that we hear and read about every day to cause us to lose our correct focus. Instead of having our minds set on God and trusting him for his peace and presence, we allow our thoughts to get sidetracked and galvanized by the negative news and circumstances that we see and hear. So because God is with us, we don't have to give in to, sink beneath, or become defeated by our troubles. We can face, confront, challenge, deal, and in the end, overcome them in the power of the cross. Jesus taught his followers that all troubles are passing in nature for a season and a reason. So let not your heart be troubled, John 14:27. Hold on to the peace that God gives, confident that he's watching, directing, and caring for those who trust and believe in him. So I'm going to dive back into these in a second. Okay, James 4:7 says, so humble yourselves before God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. And John 14:27 says, I am leaving you with a gift, peace of mind and heart. And the peace I give is a gift the world cannot give. So don't be troubled or afraid. So I want to jump back in really quick to this right here in day 3. Sudden fear, the enemy, sin, giving up our peace, losing focus. Let's talk about these 5 things because these are the things that saying this is why we lose our peace. You know, what's interesting is this whole topic is based on finding peace, but it isn't always about finding peace. Sometimes it's about giving up our peace. Like maybe we had peace to begin with, somewhere deep down with God. We had our faith, we had peace, but it's not just about finding it. And a lot of times we don't have it because we're giving it away. We're not keeping our peace, right? We're not holding on to it. So obviously, sudden fear. You want to talk about that?
Well, what I find interesting is that when we talked a little bit about this yesterday, right? Where we're not allowing our fear to be our guide. We're not guided by our fear and making decisions while we are in that emotional state, that high emotional state.
Yeah.
Okay.
Panic.
And what they're pointing out is that most often, these people that, that they find themselves fearful of the small things, they can't even imagine something big in their life happening.
Oh, yeah.
Because the fear would be overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is if that's you, if you find yourself just being, especially nowadays, right? There are so many things going around in the world. And if you're listening to the news all day, the sky is falling every day. Look, I am not trying to, dampen or put aside the reality of the world.
Yeah, it's pretty
Okay.
bad.
It's bad. Okay. But the thing is if you are watching or listening to the news and that's all you're doing, or you're listening to the negative people in your life and that's all you have around you,
Yeah.
and they're telling you, they're basically feeding that fear, then yeah, you're going to be fearful
And
of
stressed.
of the little things, of interaction with with other people, maybe even your neighbor. Okay, if something happens in your life, and it could be a small little thing, you're upset, you're stressed, you're fearful. The thing is the opposite is true. Okay. So if it's you, you really find yourself being uh, just so caught up with fear and anxiety.
Mhm.
What are those things that are upsetting you? And then just tackle one of those things a little bit at a time and
Well,
see if you could just move past that fear, bring it to God.
mhm,
Because ultimately, the thing is, yes, there's a lot of things going on in this world, big or small,
mhm.
but it doesn't matter. God is in control. And if you could accomplish this, this, um, this thing that's holding you back with the help of God, bring that to Him and figure out those small things in your life that you're fearful of and get through those. You start building up a pattern. It starts building again
Yeah.
that muscle memory here and realizing in your spiritual life that God is truly in control, and you start to let go of these
Yeah.
things and you start to get used to giving that to him. So often, especially again lately, we all have been holding on, just holding on, and we're praying like this rather than praying like
Right,
this.
right. Well,
Surrender.
one of the things that you're saying so important is to get into the pattern and to let it go and to start working with the little things. But you said something in the beginning. The most important thing is that
It
you
was all important.
it's all yeah. It was all important. I'm so sorry. The most important thing you said though in the very beginning when you were talking about when you're focused on only this and you're focused on only the fear and only the negative people that you're listening to and only the news. Maybe you're a person that's like, "Well, I'm going to keep watching the news." Okay, but then you're only going to eat deep fried food for the rest of your life. You will never eat anything healthy. You'll never. Let's say that's what you're going to do. Well, then you're going to get sick and die. Nobody's going to sustain on that. You have to add in healthier things. And then eventually that replaces. So the reason I bring that up, that extreme example up, is because you're doing the same thing. If you're only ingesting negative input, negative talk, negative news, then and you're not ever listening to anything positive. You're not ever ingesting or internalizing anything positive. You're not ever reading a positive book or listening to positive music or watching a positive show or movie or anything positive. You're not replacing those negative things with something positive. Then you're going to continually get more depressed, more anxious, more stressed, more afraid and angry. It will just feed on itself.
Mhm.
So you're saying are you is that all you're going to do? And so we're not saying you got to change everything about your life today. But in order to get that peace back, you've got to start replacing these things that take your peace away with things that give you peace.
Mhm.
You have to put in the good stuff. You don't have to get rid of everything today, but you got to start putting the good stuff in. Look, you only have so much time in the day. Just like you only have so many calories you can eat in a day, right? If you start putting the good stuff in before you start worrying about taking the bad stuff away, put the good stuff in. If you only have so much time, and I'm taking up 15 minutes to read or watch something that's positive, that's 15 minutes I'm not internalizing something negative. I can't
Exactly.
do both in the same 15 minutes. And that's what this is saying is that they can't coexist, right? Rebellion and peace cannot coexist. Sin and peace cannot coexist. So, negative and positive input, you can't those can't coexist. So you have to be if you're putting in positive, you can't be putting in negative. So the best way to get rid of the negative stuff in your life is to replace it with something positive.
Exactly. Second one. Let's go
So
to the second
second
one.
one is the enemy. Well, that's for most people, I mean, that's pretty self explanatory. I mean, the enemy tries to steal our peace constantly. He pretty much tries to steal our peace through, all the stuff we just talked about the news, toxic people, old tapes, old habits, telling us all about how we used to be, bringing up our past, telling us lies about who we are, but we're not, though, who he wants us to think we are, and just basically taking away our peace. I mean, through various things. So there's always that at work against us.
Yeah.
And
Well, it talks about resisting. Sometimes I think we forget we can resist him, and by that
mhm,
simple act,
yeah.
he flees.
Well, and so real quick though, how do we resist the devil? Well, we pray. We do the opposite. Just like I said, you don't just like I'm running away from the devil all the time. I know a lot of Christians that constantly are focused on the devil. They're never focused on God and it's
Always running.
crazy. I'm like, "Why are you always focused on the devil?" And they're like, "I'm not." And I'm like, "No, literally all you talk about is avoiding evil." So you're only looking at the enemy. You never look at God and go, "What do you want me to do today? How do you want me to impact
Look at
something?"
what God is doing.
Yeah.
Okay. In if we would, if we all, because I do it too, okay, if we would all just open our eyes and our ears and look at what God is doing in the midst of evil.
Yes.
What is he doing? We could hyper focus on all the things that are happening in the world and they're bad.
But they've always been bad.
But in the midst of that,
Yeah.
God is doing some amazing work.
Yeah.
Miracles are happening before our eyes, but we're not seeing it because
Well, it's not being reported.
well,
It's
but
not.
it could be in
we're
front
not,
of our eyes. And
We're not
most
focusing
often.
on it.
What about in your home?
Yeah.
What's happened today? What happened yesterday
Mhm.
that you maybe have missed that God was present? If we continually look for God in everything rather than looking
For the enemy and
for the
everything.
enemy
Mhm.
under every
rock.
rock,
We're like, is he in here? Is he trying to trick me in here?
Exa-
Is he doing something over
right.
here?
We're
How about
more,
looking for God that
we're
way?
more focused on that
Yeah.
rather than where God is in everything.
So every time somebody comes to me and they're like, the enemy's trying to fool you with it, and I'm like, well, have you looked at what God's doing in your life today? Have you checked out what God's doing around you today? Have you focused on that at all? Because I know the enemy's trying to trick me, or he's trying to take my peace, or he's trying to blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing is that if I'm constantly focused on Jesus, God's got my back, by the way. The armor, if you look in Ephesians, the full armor of God, if you notice, doesn't have a back plate.
Yep.
Because God has your back. You don't have to look back.
Right.
You don't have to watch behind you. You don't have focus on Jesus and everything moving forward into what you're doing. You will.
And by the way, when you're looking for the enemy, when you're absolutely looking for him, you're turning backwards.
Yeah.
You're not pushing forward.
Mm-hmm.
You're not pushing forward the kingdom of God. Why? Because you're leading
with fear.
You're leading with fear.
There's only one reason.
Fear is not of God.
There's only one reason we would look for the enemy. There's only one reason is fear.
Yeah. So look.
So that's number 2.
Yeah.
Number 3 is sin. Well, peace and rebellion cannot coexist, it says. The only recourse is to confess sin to God. Now, look, anytime we feel like we're getting separated from God through any type of sin, it could be major sin, it could be a whole thing, it could be just a little thing. We had something that happened to us. I don't know, it was like a year or 2 ago or something. We used to have a glass of wine, like with dinner sometimes. Red wine. We're like, well, that's basically heart healthy. Like it used to be, we would have a glass of wine. It wasn't a thing. Like we don't really drink at all. Like that was what we did. And one day God said, get it out of your house. We were like, oh, okay. Our kids knew that we had a glass of wine once in a while. Like they knew what it was. It wasn't like we hid it. Like we just said, yeah, this is an adult drink. You can't have it. This is what it's made out of, blah, blah, blah. And we didn't have a habit or an even bad example, we thought. And so, but he said, get it out of the house. Now we had to pray about it. And we said, you know what? The sin wasn't the wine. The sin would have been if we didn't listen, because God knows what we don't know. Right. And if he knows something about our kids, that they have a propensity towards something, or that they're going to, or that they're going to have anything, maybe the influence of having it around at all was to add to something later that we don't know about yet. We don't know. And we had this whole discussion and we were like, if God's telling us to get rid of it because he knows something about our kids or about us that we don't, it's out.
Absolutely.
And so there could be little things like that when you're just going, oh, it's not a big deal what I'm doing or thinking or seeing or watching or saying, right?
And look, we're not debating.
Oh no, I'm just making an example for our life.
All. We're talking about obedience in our life and in our home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, yeah, let me stop. This is not a debate about wine. Everybody's different. This is something God specifically said to us about our family, and we weren't even doing anything even remotely, like it wasn't a sin to begin with. The sin would have been if we disobeyed when he told us to do something. That's what I mean. So because we make excuses for the things we think are no big deal is my point. I've had times where I'm watching a show or a movie and I feel convicted, like, should I be watching this garbage?
Yeah.
And then the Holy Spirit's like, probably not, because it's probably not affecting you very well. Or the news. He got convicted because he was listening to talk radio all the time and it was really stressing him out. So he started listening to audiobooks and he got convicted. God was like, this isn't good for you. It's stressing you out and it's making you sick. Right. So it could be anything. My point is, when God says something, if you disobey or you don't go in the direction he asked, that is sin because it's not good for us. So my whole point is pointing that stuff out is to not nitpick. My point of saying that is that it doesn't always mean it's a huge sin or it's this massive like rebellion that we're in or something. Because I've been in that in my life too, years and years ago. But that's not where I'm at now. Now it's more like, oh, these little things. But if I'm in out of alignment with God because I'm not listening, that takes my peace away, is what I'm saying. It takes my peace away when I don't listen to those little promptings of God saying, maybe that's not the best thing. And I'm like making excuses going, well, it's not that big a deal. And then I lose peace about it. So it could be that little bit of a sin where you're just like not in alignment.
Yeah.
So that's all I was bringing those examples up for. So I just want to make sure that's clear because I don't want emails. So anyway, giving up our peace. So number 4 is giving up our peace. Okay. So this is a huge one. Huge, huge, huge. We never realize that we have control over our peace.
Yep.
Say it for the people in the back. You have control over your peace. You have control over your reactions and relationships. You have your control over your reaction to the world around you. You have a grasp on your peace because not only does God give that peace, and you have ownership over it, but you have ownership over you and your response to people or situations or, outside input trying to steal that peace away. You cannot allow it. That's called boundaries.
Right. Exactly. So sometimes we allow people in our home or in our sphere, okay,
Yep.
that we know are toxic.
We already
But-
know, we see it coming.
Right. But for whatever reason, you feel guilty and you
Yep.
feel, well, I have the ability, I have room in my house.
Yeah.
And I know that they're struggling with something.
Yeah.
And but I have room in my house. So shouldn't I open my
But
door to them?
Do you have room
Is
in
it-
your house?
Is it the Christian thing to do?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say not if it's going to make you stumble. If it's going to bring you more stress, look, some of us really have to be very careful with our stress because of our health.
Mhm.
Okay.
A lot of
And
people.
letting someone back into your life that is a chore. Okay. They are just those types of people that for
They're
whatever
going to
reason,
drain you.
they drain your energy, and it's not going to cause you peace.
Mhm.
It's not going to help you stay on track and doing the things that you need to be doing that God is actually calling you to do. It's a distraction.
Well, and
So sometimes, just
go
let me
ahead. Sorry.
one more thing is that just sometimes the enemy will put something in front of you and saying, it's the Christian thing to do, right?
Aren't you a Christian or are you?
But
Oh my gosh. Yes.
you need to really look at that and examine,
Mhm.
is this something that God wants me to do? Or is this a distraction
Right.
from the enemy?
Well, and I was going to say, Jesus was around toxic people all the time, but he didn't live with them.
Yeah.
There's a difference. You can help people that you care about. You can support and love them. You don't have to kick them out of your life if that's not what you need to do. Maybe you do need to do that. Maybe you don't need to do that. But having them live with you, take control of your conversations, take control of your time, take control of your money.
Right.
Like,
So,
you know what I'm saying? Boundaries.
yeah.
So,
And the thing is that maybe you do want to help somebody.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm not saying don't help people,
yeah, obviously not.
but you need to set boundaries
Mhm.
and stick to them.
Yeah.
But if you're the type of person that has difficulty with boundaries,
Mhm.
you don't want to jump the gun and jump right into it and
Yeah.
bring someone directly into your life and
Into
say,
your
well, I'm
house.
going to set these boundaries when you have no history of sticking to those
Yeah.
boundaries.
Well, not only that, but or maybe you're having no problem setting boundaries. That person has every problem keeping them.
Yep.
And
And if you
so-
know that,
Then you just go, well, look, I've
Then-
done everything I can.
yeah, do everything you can within your boundaries. Okay. For that person, because you know that person manipulates.
So another
person.
thing-
It's just what it
Another
is.
thing that can steal your peace doesn't, I mean, we focus on people a lot because that's the hardest one. But what about your job? What about the world? What about, situations and like maybe your financial situation steals your peace, whatever. There's you can let it steal your peace or you can give it to God. Okay. Peace and happiness are two very different things.
Right.
They're not mutually exclusive. Okay. Peace is a settlement that we talked about on day one. So go back to day one if you want to know the foundations of peace. But yeah, so losing focus is number 5.
And that's kind of what we were just talking
Yeah,
about
losing
too.
focus. We can allow a myriad of bad news scenarios, blah blah blah. Like not losing focus on God. Really, this is the wrap up of all the things, the 4 things we just talked about. You're losing focus on Jesus. You're focusing on the enemy. You're focusing on the situation. You're focusing on your emotions. You're focusing on the toxic people. You're focusing on your fear. All of that instead of God.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and so those are the things that steal our peace. And so we have control over that. We don't want to let things take our peace away, right? And so that's what we're talking about today. This has been really good. I just thank you so much for joining us today with going over this, because these are things that really they extend into all parts of our lives. I mean, they go into our health battles, they go into our relationships, it goes into our finances, and just our general state of being. When we don't have peace, especially during fighting a health battle, which is like the root of everything that we're dealing with. It affects everything. When we don't have peace about that, we tend to not have peace about anything. And then that's why relationships end up getting, more toxic or failing. That's why we end up having problems in our finances. We can't run our business anymore. Like all the things happen because we're not finding peace within our battle with our health.
So I hope today made some sense to you.
Yeah.
I really
was
hope
good.
that God spoke to you about today's conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. We listed 5 things that really take us away from that peace.
Mhm.
So I if that resonated with you, if God's speaking to your heart today, if you got some revelation today, hit like, share this. If you know someone else that maybe is struggling
With their
in this
peace.
area,
Yeah.
okay, they're just so caught up with fear and anxiety. This is probably something we should be sharing with everybody, because there's so many things to feed on. The enemy is on the march. Right?
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
so share that with your friends and family. We would really appreciate
Totally.
that.
If you're watching from our brand new YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe to that. We absolutely appreciate your support over there. Of course, if you're joining us on Facebook, we love your support here as well. A couple of things I wanted to bring up to you guys, though. We really are moving forward in a lot of our outreach. We have our weekly podcast. We have our daily show here now, our morning show. And we really want to continue putting out this content. We're going to start having guests on this show.
Yeah,
that's something that we
I'm
haven't
glad you
mentioned yet.
That, yeah.
But, we really want to start having discussions with just more than us. And so we may have guests on that are part of these discussions. And all of these things take, a vehicle called funding. And so we absolutely are asking for any support and anything that you want to donate, because, we've had people tell us a lot, where can I support you guys? And so this is where you can support us. It's Javie and Jessica Madrigal.com. If you want to sponsor our show, sponsor our podcast, sponsor our YouTube channel, it all goes to the same pile of partnership, monetization that we have going, where we put all of that you guys support us with. It goes towards this outreach for people to heal their bodies, to heal their minds, to heal their spirit. And that's the kind of mission that if you want to be part of that, go ahead and go over to this website and make sure that you're partnering with us, because that's going to be the number one reason we end up doing this successfully. This is God's mission, and he's called us to it. So we ask that you would be part of that with us. So any sponsorship level that you want to be a part of is available to you over there for every budget. So make sure you jump over there. Also, this week, do not forget, we have our 21-day challenge for September open for registration. So if you want to jump over into that is right here. It's at eliteninjaacademy.com/21-day challenge. That's something that is going to be running every month now. So yay, I'm super excited about that. Our August challenge is going really well. We are going to add some new fun things to the September challenge. It starts September 6th, is $97 for 21 days of jumping into your nutrition, has nutrition guide, meal plans, live daily workouts. Just follow those. You don't have to get into a complicated fitness plan. We're there to coach you, help you, walk alongside you, and we're doing it too with you. So you can watch us fall down while we're trying to do balance moves. But anyway, that's something. If you want to jump into that, make sure you're heading over there. Also, we have a special too. If you're a couple, it's one price for the both of you. If you want to jump in and do it together, we absolutely.
Yeah, and once you become a student of the Elite Ninja Academy, then there are also extra bonuses that you'll get with other products that we push out, other
Absolutely.
challenges, other things that we do come up with. So,
and as always, remember, if you want to submit questions for us to answer on the air for our broadcast, make sure you email me at support@javieandjessicamadrigal.com. I will answer all your questions, but if it's something that will help everybody, I will make sure we put that on the air so that we can answer that for everyone. All right.
All right, everyone. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Bright and early. Love ya.